Today I would like to say something about tolerance. The current refugee problem in Germany has something to do with it, but to really understand the subject of tolerance and to solve it, that is not enough. Because if you try to go from the close-up to the wide perspective, you will not succeed. Because the human mind really likes to get lost in the small details. That's just how the human mind acts. It likes to take positions. And that's not the problem, assuming I would be alone in the world. I would be the sole Adam and could decorate the space under my palm tree as I wanted. But with Eve, the problems would probably begin. Either she would annoy me with her ideas of order and I would enrage her with my ideas of disorder, or vice versa. I can imagine that vividly. Like, how can you live like that in this mess? Couldn't you once in a while pick up those palm leaves on the ground? And anyway, I find it disgusting when you always pee over there in the avocado trees. Well, and now we are in our world not only a few, but a few billion people, and everyone has their own opinions. And people with similar opinions tend to band together and to be against the people who have different opinions. And that is true for every topic. Even so-called spiritual people do that with pleasure. There are spiritual religious wars going on. Self-proclaimed enlightened people bash among themselves. Who is the most spiritual? This happens, of course, in a spiritual correct way. They say, I wish that you could completely immerse yourself in the total awareness, and I deeply hope you will manage to overcome your oversized ego ultimately. In plain language, nothing else than, you stupid charlatan, I'm enlightened and you are not, and you never will be. Nothing to do with tolerance and nothing to do with so-called enlightenment. But back to the refugee problem. When I try to practice this specific approach of tolerance, I'll fail, because social issues are very often defined by the state or the media. They tell you what has to be tolerant and what is defined as intolerant. So, what is the socially accepted form of tolerance in this case? Well, you have to find it really great that, for example, the people of Syria are here in Germany now because they are all victims of war. Now, there are also other people who have the view that this is really crap, that the foreigners are taking away our jobs and rape our women. So in this case, what is genuine tolerance? Because what about those who disagree with my or the mass opinion? Can I be tolerant towards those people also? Tolerance based on an opinion is really just disguised intolerance, a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's not from the heart, but an idea of tolerance that has never led people to love and coexistence among all, because someone will always be left behind. It will ultimately lead to isolation and violence. It's far too easy to say that the Nazis are all stupid farts, or that those do-gooders will ruin Germany in the end. Such viewpoints and statements do not lead to love, they lead to hatred. So, but what does lead to love? Now, a tolerance that comes from the heart. And this is, if you are taking your time for this, a very quiet, smooth feeling. It grows out of keeping quiet and listening to your emotions. It appears if you let fade away the noise and the opinions and anxieties of the mind, unheard and without reaction. So when I realize that behind every opinion there is actually a fear and a lack, I'll advance one step further. So using the example of the Syrians, I can assume virtually every opinion there is easily. Like the easiest way I can see it is that you have to help these people. Many of them have experienced terrible things and need protection. In this perspective, I also assume that there are even some advantages for Germany, if you would like to think on this level. The German demographics is hopelessly overaged. We will in the foreseeable future have almost twice as many old than young people. Thus, the contract between the generations cannot work, because it should really be the other way around, right? So we can certainly need a good share of young men. And most of the refugees are young. You see, from this opinion speaks my fear of poverty in old age. But I can also provide the position that it is unacceptable to leave Germany so overrun by people of another culture. The trouble is inevitable. A good part of the war refugees are traumatized and violent, and there are also quite few who came with economic interests to Germany. Deadbeats, I would judge them. And these parasites then attach themselves to the nipples of the German welfare system, which is already so badly strained. So from this opinion speaks a variety of fears, as you can see. The fear of Islam as such, that's for me the most difficult one. But also I can put myself into it when I see so much of what the extremists IS organization does in the world. But I will also become uneasy when I see what extremists of other religions do in the name of God. So now I'm standing there with my understanding of all those positions, and where will I march now? With the Nazi demo or the counter demonstration of the anarchists? Well, you could also simply stand for yourself and stay open for all perspectives. But then you would be very vulnerable from all opinion groups, and you would not have any group standing behind you. You would be without any protection at all. And for that, one needs quite big courage, because you are leaving the well-trodden paths of society's opinion. One is suddenly no longer a socialist or right or left or spiritual or whatever. One is at that point only one human. So, what can I do now if I want to develop true tolerance in me? Well, because true tolerance indeed comes from the heart, I cannot practice in situations that do not concern me directly. It is rather necessary that I begin where I am concerned personally and directly. So start from there. Start in your daily life, in the family, with friends, shopping or driving your car. And this does not mean that you have to endure everything that other people do to you, because you are part of that whole network as well. Rather, it is all about that one uncovers the fears behind the own opinions and stays silent for a moment until one gets calmer, and you can then, once you are calmer, perceive the world pure and unspoiled. And if this becomes more and more a habit, you will find that your own capacity to love gets greater, and that the other people are even more benevolent to you, and thereby this will ease your anxiety and the deadlocked opinions more and more. And with that, the whole life gets more benevolent, and you tend to lose the need to divide the world into groups and friends and foes. Because every human being craves deeply in the heart to love and to be loved. You can give it the best start exactly where you live, work or are otherwise engaged. And this opens the heart for people and situations that are farther away. This is where freedom will actually begin. And it is where a deeper bond with the other people will start to grow. The way to get there is very uncomfortable at times, but if you experience this kind of freedom and tolerance, no more questions remain. It is absolutely clear what to do and what is not necessary. You will find an easy balance between your own needs and those of others, and life will become more peaceful, richer, and fuller of harmony. So, the result is very nice and light. The way to get there is sometimes quite challenging. With love, Dirk Liesenfeld.